All right, guys, it's our last set of keyword. It's from chapter 11 on race and ethnicity. So in chapter 11.4, we're actually looking at intergroup relations. So the first keyword you need to understand from this chapter section is pluralism. Pluralism is represented by the ideal of the United States as a salad bowl, a great mixture of different cultures where each culture retains its own identity and yet adds flavor to the whole. We used to talk about this as the melting pot, but we don't really melt. We do kind of retain those individual flavors. So this is the idea that we do have a greater culture, but we also have little bits that get added to it from all of the diverse and unique people in America. Just think about an average American Thanksgiving in this moment, right? You're having a hard time with this. And that's because there's no such thing, right? We have maybe some consistent elements. Maybe there's usually a bird. There's usually some sort of potato, maybe something with corn. But the way that all is going to look is going to really depend on where those folks' ancestors came from and what part of the country they live in. So that's pluralism. Our next word is assimilation. This describes the process by which a minority individual or group gives up its own identity by taking on the characteristics of the dominant culture. Now, when we're talking about the U.S. and assimilation, we're often talking about things like learning English, sending your kids to school, learning to become a quote-unquote American, keeping in mind our definition of pluralism before, this is actually something America does pretty well. I know it's something that you probably don't think we do pretty well, but believe it or not, compared to most of the world, we're pretty good about getting people into our country and making them part of the group and making them feel like they belong. So that's actually something you should maybe be a little proud of. Finally, we have the idea of the model minority. This is a stereotype that's applied to a minority group that is seen as reaching significant educational, professional, and socioeconomic levels without challenging the existing establishment. Now, we have a discussion question on there, who is this in the U.S.? They actually filed a lawsuit against Harvard about a year ago, challenging, these were Asian Americans. So Asian Americans in America are seen as quote-unquote the model minority. So much so that colleges were not using them, were not including them as an ethnic minority when considering them getting into college. So it was actually hurting these people because of this assumption that, oh, they're perfect. They don't need any more help because they do exactly what they're quote unquote supposed to do when they're here. So even, good stereotypes, even stereotypes that assume that people are smart or good at math or whatever it is, can be incredibly damaging. And that's why we shouldn't believe stereotypes in general. All right, guys, that's all your keywords and concepts for the week. So make your flashcards, do your highlighting, whatever you got to do for the test.